Hello, true duelists. My name is Disease Fee, because I have a cold or something that I hate, and you just get to live with that sound for the rest of this video. So enjoy my nasally ass voice in this episode of Yu-Gi-Oh! Single Card History, the show where I take a look at some of the cards that have impacted Yu-Gi-Oh! Throughout the years, and some of the other ones that didn't. Today's card, the other great synchro that Konami chose to kill on the April 2024 ban list, and the big bad dragon of early 2020 end boards, it's Borreload Savage Dragon. Borreload Savage was first released in Savage Strike, fittingly enough, in 2019, as the cover card in an ultra rare slot. Notable reprints include a prismatic secret rare in the 2020 Megatins in the year of the Plague 2020, and as both a secret rare in Battles of Legends Crystal Revenge, as well as a Starlight rare when that set released in 2022. Most recently, it was printed in the 25th anniversary Rarity collection, in each and every rarity of that set. And now, to pad out the time to show you each of those rarities, that includes the super rare, ultra rare, secret rare, platinum secret rare, quarter century secret rare, ultimate rare, and collector's rare. Jesus Christ. And for time on the ban list, as mentioned, this card was at free in 3, right up until the April 2024 ban list, where it was banned on the 15th for North and Latin America, and on the very day I released this video for all other regions in the TCG. A level 8 Dark Dragon Synchro monster with 3000 attack and 2500 defense. The materials to summon it are any one tuner and any one or more non-tuners, and its effect reads: if this card is synchro summoned, you can equip one link monster from your graveyard to this card, and if you do, place Borrel counters on this card equal to that link monster's link rating. This card gains attack equal to half the attack of the monster equipped to it by this effect. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can remove one Borrel counter from this card, negate the activation. You can only use this effect of Borreload Savage Dragon once per turn. No on legs, but it's a big no. The attack boost is not crucial to this card's success or playability, but man, is it extra nice for your Omni Negate to be roughly, 4,000 attack, most of the time, somewhere in that ballpark. Obviously, it varies based on what it is you have equipped to it, but even 3,500 is damn good for backing up your no. For a quick ruling's sake, the attack boost is dependent on the monster being equipped to Savage. So if you were to remove the equip spell, the attack boost would go away, but the counters would stay on it. So it would only be a 3000 attack Omni Negate. And if you can negate this card's effect somehow, it will lose both the counters and the equip spell. Because as I understand it, the effect to have counters and have that card equipped to it is a continuous effect that gets negated as well, and then they go away. Not exactly an expert, but it happens every time I duel on Master Duel, so Konami is with me, and if you disagree, shut up. It should come as no shock to you, out of the gate this card was a great card. Even in Master Rule 4, before the revision to make the game fun again, this card was worth summoning to one of your link points because it's just so damn useful on the opponent's turn to negate whatever it is you want to negate, and on your turn because even at 3000 attack, that's still like 37% of their total life points. As such, if your deck could spam link monsters, this was on the board with great ease, provided you played tuners. Like the plethora of Danger decks or Orcus decks or any combo deck you'd like. Most of these decks played an excess of link monsters, so getting an extra link zone or two was hardly a challenge. It helped that this was the most easily accessible Omni Negate for these sorts of decks, with cards like Destrudo and even Mare being able to manipulate their levels, and even match with the plenty of danger levels to make level 8 in whatever way you see fit. This is also true for other Wombo combo decks of this time, such as Crusadia Guard Dragon, which could abuse their own archetype tuner to more reliably make it with the right hand, and again, there's access to Destrudo if that hand is a little iffy. These sorts of decks would ultimately abuse the same sorts of end boards and just use different engines to get to their goals, or at least broadly speaking. Not everyone used the Sekka's Light engine, as I've had on screen up until this point, as some opted for the more traditional style of deck building with an Orcus build playing, say, Rusty Bardish and a Phantomite package to accompany their Borreload Savage with some Fog Blades for extra negates or what have you. Orcus Crescendo is actually a pretty good card too, I think you might know that. It was quite common for Borreload Savage to more or less be the only synchro monster in a lot of these decks in and around this time, or the only one that wasn't a stepping stone used to make it for the decks that opted to play the Synchro Ib card. Although some decks did take advantage of other synchro negates at the time, such as FA Dawn Dragster, and in the case of something like Endymion, maybe an Archetype Magician for that 2009 throwback, or 2014 throwback. let's call it early-ish 10s. Because no deck was safe from it, least of all something like Pendulum Soup with the infamous 17 negates through any hand trap, or as that awful Quiplash joke I somehow saved back in the 2020 era from those Discord Quiplashes, wherein I said that Santa would use a 7 negate board through any hand trap to pull his sleigh instead of reindeer. I don't know if this is actually a worthwhile joke to be including, but I've included it, so we'll see how that fucking goes. How many other ways can I show you that a generic and abusable Omni-Negate was good? Oh, I know, Adamancipator. Because this is a deck that used Borreload Savage for all the same things you would expect to. It's one of multiple negates on the end board through some other means, coupled with things like Appaloosa and or Herald of the Arclight and or their own level 8 Dragite to negate spell and traps, and or whatever else they made. But what made it really shine in this deck was that thanks to near endless spam potential it had with its own engine and Block Dragon for extenders and power generics like Hulk for even more extenders, the deck didn't struggle to make Borreload Savage and a copy of Union Carrier, a Link 2 that can equip any monster from the deck to your field as an equip spell to a monster to give it bonus attack, so long as the equipped monster and the monster being equipped to are the same type and or attribute. And since Borreload Savage is a Dark Dragon, you could equip it with this cute little Dragon Buster card that, while equipped to a monster, made it so the opponent couldn't summon from the extra deck. And even better, that is equipped through other means, so if you were to open Dark Ruler No More to shut off all those plenty negates, they could still lock you out of the extra deck because it was still fucking equipped to it. How fun! Don't you miss Adamancipator? There's a reason you hear people refer to this deck as the best deck to never win a YCS. And fittingly enough, as Hulk combos brought a plague to this game, so too did God bring a plague to this earth. Is it okay to say that about COVID at this point in time? I got the fucking plague right. I don't give a shit. I'm diseased. I'm allowed to. Don't worry though, Eldlich players, I didn't forget you, because the fucking disaster that was 2020 Yu-Gi-Oh! Did also allow decks of a more controlling nature like Eldlich to tech in Auroradon Hulk combos to make Borreload for their own end boards, because the self-replacing traps just weren't enough. This one at least had less Buster Dragons to it, so that's cool, but that didn't really make it any less stupid to go up against. At least that's how I felt, being a dumbass. I don't even know what I was playing at this time. I think Phantom Knight. What a moron. You can't mention this card though without bringing up Dragon Link, as I've been avoiding up until now, as this is as close as it gets to being played in its own deck as the card gets. And to those of you who feel the need to rush in and comment that this is its home deck, I don't care nearly as much as you do, and the two of us don't care nearly as much as that one guy who insists on playing pure Rocket that just won't shut up about it, and I think we can both agree that that's the truth. So, Dragon Link, I think, is Yu-Gi-Oh's real intended end state. At least it coupled alongside with some generic anime girl deck that's stupidly good as well. You can go ahead and pick one. I'm opting for Tearlaments because, good Christ, those chain links. Still, Dragon Link is a deck of endless starters and extenders that has taken a number of forms over the years, from standard builds to more focused on bestial engines, or maybe adventure engines, or whatever was good and or popular at the time. And while the deck has had countless variations, some things have remained a staple throughout all its different builds. Things like Quick Launch and Borreload Savage. At least that's what I'm assuming, and going by these deck lists, I seem to be right. The deck's endless extenders meant it had no trouble playing through hand traps, and it could reliably make the same end boards duel after duel, more often than not. Sometimes it was Spheres coupled with Savage, and eventually Borrel and Dragon and Savage, or maybe Dispatter or Barone and Savage, who knows, take your pick. They all go so well with the Gun Dragon. You may have heard it called the Alistair of combo decks, and I don't fully disagree with that, because it's like the Invoked engine, it just doesn't seem to go away, does it? From the release of the Rocket Structure deck up until now, the deck's been a popular one, and I'm sure it will be afterwards as well, just without the iconic endboard staple that Savage offered the deck. And while I can mention the likes of things like Super Heavy Samurai, that played this as one of countless endboard negates to go along with their one-card combos and endless turns, and even the likes of lesser decks like, say, Blackwing, that would throw this in for the option just due to its innate strength, the real sinker of this card would be the same deck that took out the horse and shot it, because the horse is dead. And that is Snake Eye decks, namely the pure variants that rose to dominance in February of 2024. They would often only play 3 Synchro monsters, truthfully, and they were the only ones that the deck needed. Formula Synchron as the level 2 tuner, Barone as the level 10 Synchro Omni-Negate to go with your Flamberge Dragon, and Savage as your level 8 Omni-Negate, which paired beautifully with Dia Bellstar to make this with Jet Synchron. Because much like a dragon and a car come together to make a horse, a woman, when combined with a jet engine, is clearly going to be a dragon made entirely of guns. It just makes sense. The game is called Yu-Gi-Oh! This paired super well with the deck, actually, since the equipped Link monster doesn't need to stay equipped for Borreload Savage to keep its counters for its negates, which meant that the equip spell could be used as fodder to send to the grave for a Snake Eye or Sinful Spoils card to send to the grave to get other materials from your deck, essentially for free, if you will, or if nothing else at no additional cost to your resources. As I said earlier, it's not like having a 3k Omni Negate is bad. Shoutouts to the horse and rest in peace, because that card had the same shit and it is also banned now. On top of this, it could also be, in the worst of cases, used as the other level 8 to make Barone, I guess. I don't even know why I wrote that. I don't think it's entirely wrong, but the main thing I'm focusing on is even if you only got one counter on it, it wasn't like it was that big of a deal, since Snake Eye matches are entirely about throwing hand traps and negates at each other until one of you runs out of extenders, and then you just OTK them with ease through the use of a card like Zealantis when coupled with Salamangreat Great Raging Phoenix. By which I'm saying it did a number of jobs in the deck fantastically and was very, very good in this deck, hence why it was ultimately played in it. Right up until they couldn't, because they banned it in April of 2024. And its absence did weaken Snake Eye decks. Not by a lot, because Snake Eye won the very next premier event, YCS Rally in 2024, had 20 of the top 32 spots being Fire King and or Snake Eye, with Snake Eye being played in all. It was 20 out of 32 or Snake Eye, so it's not like the deck got bad, it's just, you know, slightly worse. It's technically weaker. You can't tell me it's stronger without the Omni Negate, and if you are, you're probably a branded player, because they're the only type of player to make that kind of a fucking claim. Much like Barone, I overall like this in the grand scheme of the game. Generic and abusable Omni Negates make for some repetitive end boards over the years, and it's been 5 years of dealing with Savage here. It make it so you kind of need to draw the out in regards to some of the crazy strong no boards that come about in this game, whereas at least with cards that only disrupt instead of negate, they can be played around to some degree. If the opponent just negates your monster, it sucks, but if they try to bounce or shuffle it or spin it away, and then you can chain, say, enemy controller and further disrupt their board, it's kind of neat. Granted, you can still do that with a negated card as well, but I think you get my point. It's a lot more cool when I get to actually play my cards. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a game based on some amount of playing on each other's turns, and if you think I'm being stupid or too modern-brained when I say that, I beg of you to explain to me why trap cards can only be activated on the turn after they're set, including your opponent's, to be used if we aren't meant to be playing on each other's turns somewhat. If you're a fan of Mirror Force, you like playing on the opponent's turn, don't fucking at me. I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Is at its best with multiple points of interaction, and ideally with less negates than more, but that's just me. I'm sure some Dragon Link players are absolutely pissed and want their baby back, and truthfully, I want my fucking money back, because look at this. This is the last use I'm getting out of them. After this, they just go back into the binder to wait, and maybe go on like 1 or 2 Time Wizard decks, but I'm not gonna be itching to go back to an abundance of formats from that time. My laziness and my lack of will to just move one card from one deck to another has truly been my downfall, as I now get the most out of these few pieces of cardboard that I can before they're locked away forever. Overall, Borreload Savage Dragon is a wonderfully powerful and even more generic extra deck boss monster that outclassed the vast majority of its competition. And Master Rule 4, it was one of very few synchros that was even worth playing, and even under Master Rule, Please Come Back, We Made the Game Fun Again, also known as the April 2020 revisions, it stayed a staple. It's not like Links got weaker when fun was brought back into the game, and as such, this bad boy stayed in plenty of decks. Its presence made it the go-to option for countless decks, from power levels ranging from Blackwing to Tier 0 Snake Eye. I don't think that this card ruined the game by being in it, but I do feel like more people can enjoy the game now that Savage is gone from it. You can feel free to disagree with me in the comments, and in doing so, we can just exclude the Dragon Link players and my wallet, who are very upset that it's gone. But other than that, I don't know, you tell me. I've wasted enough time talking. You know why the Omni Negate with a giant fucking stick in terms of attack points was good, and I'm very curious to see if the OCG and or Master Rule will follow this move made by the TCG. Only time will tell, and time's the enemy. But if you happen to be watching this in 2028, feel free to comment and let me know. And so that's our look at Yu-Gi-Oh! Single card history, Borreload Savage Dragon. Stay tuned for our next video, and feel free to suggest some cards to review or what type of video you'd like to see. Don't forget to like, and as always, subscribe to YGO Strats to impress your smoking Italian wife to become a true duelist, and because the more subscribers I get, the more my illness is healed. So please, God and you, let me be healthy again so that I can speak without being this goddamn congested, and then I can be happy again. 200 likes for that fucking cough supercut, because there was a lot of cuts in this video. You probably saw them. Fucking see you next week. See you later. I'm gonna go drink a lot of water. Goodbye.